Hi everyone, Dave Verdoon here from innovationtutorials.com, making innovation practical. So when we talk about voice of customer, there needs to be a place to capture, organize, prioritize, and communicate those requirements to the development team. Now there's a whole lot of different ways to do that, including the House of Quality, which you may have seen on this site, which is a Japanese technique that organizes customer information into a house-like structure. But sometimes you just don't need the rigor of QFD and you want to get things done quicker. Well, the VOC Opportunity Matrix does exactly that. So let's take a quick look at it.
So here's the Microsoft Excel worksheet that captures about 80 to 90% of what you'd see in a typical House of Quality, and actually has a few things that the House of Quality doesn't. And by the way, you can probably easily make this worksheet yourself, but for those of you who want to save time creating it, it's a good template that gets you going with several automatic formulas and graphs already created. You need Excel 2007 or higher to take advantage of some of the conditional formatting that happens in here and some of the colored graphs that you'll see in some of the columns. So there's 4 main sections you can see here in different colors. First one is customer data information. Then in the green, there's competitive data information, and data analysis and action planning. You can decide which of these columns you want to use and which of them aren't needed. So think of this as a menu of columns that you'll decide which ones you want to include in your project. So let's go through it real quick. Let me show you the whole thing. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let's see if you can see it. If you zoom too far, you really can't read anything, but you know, it's a worksheet that's got 50 items in it, and if you want to, you can expand things on here. You can add more columns. Let me get back to a reasonable size. I'm getting a few texts over here. Let's ignore those. Okay, so let's go to 60%. So in the first column, the customer requirements data, you know, quite often when you do VOC research, you have different customers that you're dealing with. So in that first column, it's just an opportunity to put in all of the customer A needs, all the customer B needs, and customer C needs, etc. Second column would be the actual high-level customer need or requirement. I've got a little example in this Excel spreadsheet that, let me jump down here a little bit. Easy to set up. This is an example on a projector. Easy to set up the projector. There's global category needs around it projects a quality image, easy to operate, etc., etc. And then the next column here, column D, if we look at the columns this way, column D shows you the row numbers. You know, basically, if you want to point somebody's head and look at customer need number 13, boom, you know, you can go right there and talk exactly to a particular need, and everybody else can focus their eyes in the same place. So that's what that is, a row number for reference. And then there's a real important column is the customer-focused functional metrics. Some people call them CTQs, some people call them measures, some people call them outcomes. There's a lot of different names for these things, but basically what they are is taking the need and putting it into an objective format, you know, something that can be acted upon. So there's some criteria for a good metric here. Something should be controllable, objective, proactive, solution-free, etc., etc. I need to turn that phone off. Okay, sorry about that. And so that's what that is. The next column is importance rating. Every customer need. And by the way, let me back up a little bit to the metrics. So if we say that the customer need is easy to set up, you know, some of the metrics for that, the clarity on what easy to set up means is the time it takes to set up, the time it takes to connect, the time to repack it, effort to carry it, things of that nature. That's the clarity on the requirements, and that's the level that you need to get to that's actionable. When somebody just says easy to set up, we got to figure out what that means. So that's the reason for that next column. Importance ratings, we're going to have importance ratings here, and customer satisfaction level. So this, you know, typically 1 to 10 scale. You can adjust these scales if you want. Then competitive data. How are the competitors doing for each of those requirements? So we can put some data in there too. Like this particular first one, the total time to takes it to set it up, according to this fake data here, this one says that that's not very important. The importance rating very low, and we're doing pretty good. And we got a competitor that's doing great on time to set up, and another competitor that's doing lousy. So that's a piece of information on the competitors, because you want to know how you stack up to the competitors, because that'll help tell you what you work on. Data analysis, there's some priorities here that are automatically calculated before we get to the priorities. This is a column that we often hide, but if you're familiar with the Kano model, you can put in the Kano category that these items are. Basic performance excitement. If you want to learn more about that, there's a video on the Kano category. I'm just going to hide this, so I'm going to select it and hide it. You can do that if you don't have that data. But the next set of information, data analysis, where it automatically creates you a priority of the requirements. And the nice thing here is it creates a little graph so we can see where the priorities are. So there's two priorities. The first column of priority is based on just importance and satisfaction. And you can see this is a big bar, a big number. Why? Because we have a very important need and we're not doing very well. So this should be a big priority. And the second priority column is your competitive disadvantage priority. What this does is it looks at the information in your competitive data, and let's find a big one. Here's a pretty big one here, 5, and relatively big anyways. And what that's saying is there's a big difference between you and a competitor. And if you look at how well you're doing for your product, you're a 5. So satisfaction, customer says you're doing on a 1 to 10, you're about a 5. You're okay. But you've got a competitor out there that's doing awesome for that particular ease of carrying. They're a 10. They've been rated as awesome. So it's saying that there's a big competitive difference here, and it gives you a graphical indication of this. And this is automatically calculated. So if I were to change some of the data here, so the satisfaction level here, let's say the satisfaction of the competitor is only a 6. So when I put a 6 in here, that should disappear. 6. Let's touch another cell. It's recalculated. Now that's not as big of a deal. So these graphs are all automatically calculated. The next two columns are cost savings opportunities. That automatically gets populated when you have a situation where you might be able to save money on cost. And basically, there's a formula in here that automatically populates that. And it's a situation where you're over-serving your customers. So if there's something that's not very important and you're doing great, that's a possibility to save some money because you're probably over-serving. So now if I change this to a importance of 6, so it's relatively important. Watch this disappear now. If I touch another cell, see that went away. It's not necessarily a cost savings, but this one is down here because it's not that important and we're doing really well. And if I change this one to a 9, easy to carry is not that important, and we're making this thing super easy to carry, maybe we can save some money. If we're spending money on making it easy to carry, and it's a need that's not that important, there's a cost savings opportunity. So it's got that feature built into this spreadsheet as well. And the next column, hidden opportunity, that gets automatically populated when you have a situation where something's not that important and nobody's doing good. And sometimes things aren't that important. It's because nobody's doing good. And as soon as somebody was able to do good in it, then the importance goes up. So that's a possibility as well. And the last columns are about action planning, deployment strategy. What are you going to do as a result of these needs? Are you going to let normal business process take care of them? Are you going to use some special innovation tools to deal with them? Are you going to take this to a design phase like in QFD? Is it a FMEA issue? Is it a reliability issue? Is it a value issue? This just shows which tool that you're going to use to address this. And by the way, each one of these columns have little descriptors in it. So this one says, what methods or tools will the team use to address these customer needs or opportunities? And then another column that you can put lead responsibility, put somebody's name in there. So that's it. That's the VOC Opportunity Matrix. It's just a great way to document, organize, prioritize, and communicate customer requirements for any project that you may have, big or small. By the way, I forgot to show you, but there are some columns that we hid in here. Sometimes you want to put target values. Let me open up this. If you see my cursor here, I'm going to go open up a plus here. Yeah, I just opened up a few columns in here that sometimes you want to put target values for these requirements, time to set up. And maybe you have 3 different market segments that you want to come up with target values. We have a value segment product, a mid-range, and a premium. And the targets on time it take to set it up, might be the same for all 3. Sometimes it's very different. So, if you want to put targets on here, there's an opportunity to do that, or you can add some target values because that's real important as well. And I think that's it. There's let's see, what's hidden here? Oh yeah, there's another one here. Another column that's hidden, column F here. Sometimes it's good to capture what direction is best for the customer. For each one of these metrics, they should either be more the better characteristics, less the better characteristics, or nominal the best. Like time to set up is a less the better characteristic. And lumen output, the brightness, is typically a more the better characteristic. So that's another piece of information you can have on here. And you can add other columns. If there's other things that are important to add, that's the beauty of Excel, is you can add it and tailor this worksheet to fit your project need and hide columns that you're not going to do.
So that's it. That's the VOC Opportunity Matrix in Excel format, and it's a great way to document, organize, prioritize, and communicate the voice of the customer to the whole product development team and anybody else in the company for that matter. And one of the huge benefits of it that I probably didn't mention is to get buy-in. When you have a documented list of needs, everybody can look at it and actually get buy-in. And if they don't buy in, then we can update it. It actually should be treated as a living document that represents the voice of the customer. So questions and inquiries can be emailed to info@innovationtutorials.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video tutorial.